You are listening to the Vocal Technologist. Spoken tech for your ears.
G-Day. I was staring at my robot vacuum earlier. The little bloke was bumping into the sofa, getting himself properly stuck on the fringe of a rug. And I had this thought. I thought, there is absolutely no way this plastic disc is smart enough to be a spy. It can barely navigate a coffee table. But then I remembered we are living in a timeline where your fridge probably has a better memory than you do. And that vacuum might just be plotting a heist while it charges.
Or, at the very least, it is drawing a very detailed computer-aided map of your living room for someone else to critique your furniture layout.
Yeah, which is somehow worse. I really do not need judgment for my appliances. Welcome to the Vocal Technologist. Now, usually for Web3 Wednesday, we talk tokenomics or the finer points of decentralized organizations. But we are pivoting. We are taking a detour into the absolute grit of InfoSec, the machinery that keeps the digital world spinning, or in some cases, crashing to a halt.
It is good to be here.
Yeah.
And honestly, look, the pivot makes heaps of sense. Whether you are building in Web 3 or Web 2, the infrastructure is crumbling in the same interesting ways. The tech is getting smarter, clearly, but the cracks in the foundation are getting significantly wider. I'm talking specifically about supply chains and authentication.
It is a bit of a minefield out there.
Yeah.
So here's the mission for this session. We are going to unpack how AI is now hacking other AI, which sounds like the start of a very bad science fiction horror film. We will look at why your weather app knows exactly who you are, even if you try to hide, and yes, why that specific robot vacuum I mentioned might be mapping your house for strangers.
We do have a lot of ground to cover.
We really do. Let us kick things off with the heavy hitters, the AI escalation. We used to talk about AI helping developers write code, but now we are seeing AI actually helping the bad guys break it. This Fortinet hack really caught my eye because of the sheer scale of it.
The scale is massive. But the barrier to entry is what is truly concerning. We saw a Russian-speaking threat actor compromise over 600 FortiGate devices across 55 countries. They were targeting exposed management interfaces. And they are financially motivated, mostly, not necessarily state-sponsored.
600 devices is a lot of open doors, but hacking a firewall is not exactly new. What makes a specific instance worth us stopping to explore?
It is the tooling. They were using commercial generative AI tools to expedite the exploitation. But the real evolution here is a technique researchers are calling AI in the middle.
AI in the middle. That sounds like a play on man in the middle, but I assume there's a twist.
Spot on. Imagine you have these AI assistants with web browsing capabilities. Think Grok or Microsoft Copilot. We view them as helpful chatbots. But attackers have realized that these bots are fully trusted by network security appliances.
Right. Because if I block traffic from Microsoft or that other provider,
You break half your company workflow. The firewall lets them through by default. So the attackers use the AI as a covert command and control relay. They do not need to hack your network directly. You just need to get the AI to fetch malicious instructions.
oh,
I see. Yeah, the AI uses its anonymous, trusted web access to pull commands from the attacker server and deliver them right into the compromised environment.
that is incredibly clever. The traffic looks legitimate because, well, it actually is legitimate traffic from a trusted AI provider. It effectively bypasses the reputation filters on the firewall entirely.
It is a perfect disguise. And in some cases, they do not even need API keys or registered accounts to do it. They just leverage the public-facing capabilities of the model.
So you are not just fighting a hacker. You are fighting a hacker who is hiding behind a legitimate multi-billion-dollar AI infrastructure. Speaking of hiding attacks inside legitimate structures, let us talk about Manus. This one sounds like a magic trick gone wrong.
Yes. The vulnerability in the Meta Manus AI agent. They are dubbing this Silent Bridge.
It is classified as a zero-click indirect prompt injection. Now break that down for us. Zero-click is usually the gold standard for bad news and security.
It means the victim does not have to download a file or click a phishing link. The trigger is passive. In this case, an attacker can hide instructions inside a regular web page, maybe in white text on a white background, or tucked away in the metadata where a human would never see it.
So if I ask my AI agent to summarize a website for me, and that website has the hidden code,
The AI reads the hidden instructions and prioritizes them over your command. It gets hijacked.
and once it is hijacked, what is the damage radius? Are we talking about it printing out a rude message or something real?
Much more real. You can steal your Gmail data, execute code on your machine, or even take control of the container it is running in. It effectively turns the AI agent into a sleeper agent inside your browser.
That is the definition of a booby trap. It turns your productivity tool into an exfiltration tool. But it is not just about breaking the AI, it is about stealing the AI brain, right? I was reading about these distillation attacks.
This is fascinating from an intellectual property standpoint. Anthropic did some forensic analysis and found that companies like DeepSeek and Moonshot and Minimax were effectively siphoning off intelligence from Claude.
Like cheating off the smart kid in class, but on an industrial scale?
That is a very fair analogy. They were generating millions of exchanges to basically steal the reasoning capabilities of Claude. They take the output and use it to train their own smaller models.
Is that technically hacking or just unethical business practice?
It falls into a gray area. But here is the security risk. When they distill this knowledge, they often strip away the safety guardrails. Claude is trained to refuse certain dangerous requests, how to build a bomb or how to write malware. The distilled models often lose those filters. So you end up with a model that is as smart as Claude, but has none of the conscience.
Great. So we get high IQ sociopath models floating around. Just to round out the segment on AI trying to ruin our day, we have to touch on Google Gemini.
The API issue. This was a brilliant discovery by Truffle Security.
It sounds like a configuration nightmare. It turns out enabling the Gemini API on a Google Cloud project was a bit overly generous with permissions.
Generous is putting it politely.
Yeah.
If you enabled the Gemini API, the system silently granted existing API keys access to sensitive Gemini endpoints.
Hang on. So if I had an API key for, say, Google Maps, which is often public in client-side JavaScript, that key suddenly worked for the AI backend.
Correct. A key intended for a low-risk service suddenly became a master key for the large language model. It is a privilege escalation that nobody noticed until it was too late.
That is terrifying because developers treat Maps keys like public knowledge. We put them in the code because we have to.
Exactly. It is a classic example of how complex cloud permissions are becoming. You pull one lever, and a door opens 3 rooms away that you did not even know existed.
Which is a perfect segue, actually. Speaking of trusting things we should not and doors opening where we do not expect them, let us get into the developer minefield, the supply chain. It feels like we are constantly talking about a new package that is actually a bomb.
It is the reality of modern software development. You are not just writing code, you are assembling it from thousands of Lego bricks made by strangers. And attackers know that.
The Pulsar RAT attack on NPM really stood out to me. Hiding malware in PNG images, that feels like old-school spycraft.
It is. It is called steganography. It has been around for centuries, but seeing it in an NPM package is nasty. This package called BuildRunnerDev downloaded what looked like harmless icon images. But inside the pixel data of those images was the malicious code.
So the antivirus scans the file, sees a picture of a cat or a logo, and says, go right ahead, nothing to see here.
Precisely. The malware is literally the random pixel data. It reconstructs itself in memory. It is a very effective evasion technique.
Devious, but clever. And then you have the classic type of squatting, which still works, apparently.
Surprisingly well. There was a package called Ambar SRC. If you type fast or if you are just tired, you might miss that it's supposed to be Ember source.
And I assume it did not install the Ember framework.
It did not. It got 50,000 downloads in 3 days, and it deployed malware on Windows, Linux, and Mac OS. It did not discriminate. If you downloaded it, you were compromised.
50,000 downloads. That is not a small campaign. But while those are spray and pray attacks, we have to mention the Lazarus Group. North Korea is back at it, and they are getting very personal.
This is a social engineering play, and it is remarkably high effort. They are setting up fake job interviews, they target developers on LinkedIn, go through a whole interview process, and then send a coding challenge. They say, here, download this repository and fix this bug to prove you can code.
And the repo is Trojanized?
Specifically, they're targeting Next.js repositories. You run the code to take the test, and boom, they have a backdoor into your machine.
That is brutal. You are vulnerable because you're looking for work, you want to impress the interviewer, and you end up handing over your digital keys to a nation-state.
It creates a massive trust deficit. And that actually brings us to a really interesting debate happening right now about Dependabot.
Oh, right. The little robot that lives in GitHub and nags you to update your dependencies every 5 minutes. I feel like everyone has a love-hate relationship with it.
Mostly hate, if we are honest. Filippo Valsorda, a well-known cryptographer, made a strong argument to just turn Dependabot off.
That feels counterintuitive. Security 101 is patch your stuff. What is his logic?
His argument is about the signal-to-clutter ratio. Dependabot creates alert fatigue. If you get 1,000 alerts about vulnerabilities, but 99% of them are in development tools that never touch production, you stop listening. You merge without looking, or you ignore them entirely.
So you miss the one that actually matters because you are ignoring the 999 that do not.
Exactly. He argues that automated pull requests for every minor version bump are a distraction.
So what is the alternative? We cannot just run vulnerable code.
The suggestion is to use smarter tools like GoogleCheck for Go. These tools perform reachability analysis. They check if you have a vulnerable library, but more importantly, does your code actually call the vulnerable function?
Ah, so if I have the library but I am not using the broken part, I do not need to panic immediately.
Precisely. Update because you have verified it is safe and necessary, not just because a bot shouted at you. It is about quality of signal over quantity of useless alerts.
That makes a lot of sense. Less clutter, more action. Speaking of action, let us pivot to the real world, the physical stuff. Let us talk about that vacuum cleaner I mentioned at the top, because I really do not like the idea of my appliances constructing floor plans of my house.
This is the DJI Romo robot vacuum story. And honestly, it is a nightmare scenario for Internet of Things security. A researcher found that the backend lacked proper authentication for MQTT.
Okay, for the listener who is not an IoT engineer, unpack MQTT for us.
It is a lightweight messaging protocol. Think of it as the language smart devices use to talk to their central server, saying things like, I am here, I am stuck, here's my battery level.
And this communication channel was just open.
Wide open. The researchers could access about 7,000 devices. They could view the live camera feed. They could hear audio from the microphone.
That is bad enough. But you mentioned maps.
They could see the 2D floor plans the vacuums generated. And because they had IP geolocation, they could match that map to a specific physical address.
So pause for a second. You have a stranger who knows exactly what the inside of your house looks like, where the furniture is, can see if you're home via the camera, and has your address. That is a burglary kit.
It is a perfect casing tool. It highlights how we invite these sensors into our most private spaces without really knowing how the data is handled. And it is not just the vacuums. Look at the Samsung weather app.
Wait, my weather app is tracking me too. I mean, it needs my location to tell me if it is raining, right?
It does. But the issue is how that data identifies you. Research shows that 96.4% of devices are uniquely identifiable just by the list of cities they check weather for.
I guess that makes sense. The combination of Sydney, London, and Alice Springs creates a unique fingerprint.
It is combinatorics. If you check 3 or 4 specific locations, the probability of anyone else checking that exact sequence is near zero. And this data is sent to the weather company, which is owned by IBM. It persists even if you change networks.
So I can turn off GPS, switch from Wi-Fi to 5G, use a virtual private network. But if I check the weather for my hometown and my holiday spot, they know it is me.
You are fingerprinted. Privacy is essentially non-existent. It is just a matter of who owns the data.
That is a grim image. But while we are talking about money and physical machines, we have to mention ATM jackpotting.
I love the name, but I assume the banks do not. The FBI says it is on the rise again. Over 700 attacks, netting about $20 million.
How does it work? Are they hacking the bank mainframe from a van across the street?
No, it is much cruder. They gain physical access to the ATM, often using a generic key bought online or just forcing the case open. And they plug in a laptop to install malware called Plautus.
And the malware just tells the machine to empty the vault.
Effectively. It disconnects the cash dispenser from the bank network and issues a direct command to empty the cassette. It's like a slot machine hitting the jackpot.
And the customer accounts?
Untouched. The money comes directly out of the bank operational funds. It is a physical heist using digital tools.
Just one more physical hack before we move on. Air snitch. This one is for the travelers.
You know when you connect to hotel Wi-Fi and it says client isolation enabled? You feel safe because you cannot see the other laptops on the network?
Yeah, that is the whole point. I cannot see the bloke in room 204. He cannot see me.
Well, AirSnitch proves that is a lie. It exploits low-level Wi-Fi behavior to bypass that isolation. It allows an attacker to target other devices on the same guest network. They can steal cookies, credentials. It basically proves that guest Wi-Fi is an oxymoron when it comes to security.
Brilliant. So I will just never leave my house, but my vacuum is spying on me there too. There's literally nowhere to hide.
It does feel that way sometimes.
Let us zoom out a bit. We have talked about the devices and the code. Now let us talk about the big infrastructure. Even the giants trip over their own shoelaces sometimes. Cloudflare had a bit of a moment.
They did. And it is a classic oops moment that creates a ripple effect across the entire internet. They had a massive outage caused by a routine cleanup task.
A cleanup task, like taking out the digital trash?
Essentially. But the task had an empty pending delete parameter.
Oh no, I think I see where this is going.
The system interpreted that empty parameter as a wildcard. It essentially said delete everything. It wiped out thousands of BGP prefixes.
For those listening who are not network engineers, BGP is basically the postal service of the internet. It tells data how to find a website.
Exactly. If the BGP route is gone, the website does not exist. Cloudflare is implementing circuit breakers now to stop that from happening again, but it shows how fragile the backbone is. One line of code, one missing variable, and half the web goes dark.
It is terrifyingly fragile. But on the flip side, we are seeing some legal muscle being flexed to try and fix this mess. The DSG retail fine in the UK caught my eye.
This is a landmark ruling. The court ruled that payment card numbers and expiry dates are personal data, even if you do not have the cardholder name attached.
That seems like common sense, does it not? If I have your card number and expiry, I can do a lot of damage.
You would think. But legally, companies have argued that because they only lost the numbers, not the names, you cannot identify the person. The court said that is absolute rubbish. You can piece it together.
So what does this mean for the industry?
It sets a massive precedent. It means regulators can penalize weak security even if the data breach is not complete in the traditional sense. It raises the bar for liability.
Good, we need more accountability. Speaking of accountability or lack thereof, Cisco.
The SD1 flaw. This is severity 10.0. That is the maximum score on the CVSS scale.
And it has been exploited since when exactly?
Since 2023. It allows top-level access. Attackers could spy on critical infrastructure, governments. It is as bad as it gets.
3 years of open access. That is a lifetime in cyber warfare. It makes you wonder what else is sitting there, wide open right now.
Plenty, I reckon. And finally, we have to touch on the Discord and persona situation. This one really blurs the line between security and surveillance.
Yeah, this one gave me the creeps. Discord cut ties with their verification vendor, Persona. Why?
Researchers found 2,500 files exposed on a government endpoint. But what those files revealed was that Persona, this company verifying your age so you can use chat apps, was running checks against terrorist watch lists.
Hang on, I just want to prove I am over 18 to join a gaming server, and they are checking if I am on a politically exposed persons list.
Exactly. They were checking for terrorist ties, espionage, things that have absolutely nothing to do with age verification. It turns out they were treating every user like a potential national security threat just to check their ID.
That is massive overreach. And it just goes to show you hand over your ID for one thing, and it gets used for 5 other things you never agreed to.
It is the theme of the discussion, is it not? Unintended consequences.
It really is. So let us pull this all together. We have covered AI hackers, booby-trapped code in the supply chain, spy vacuums, and identity checks gone rogue. What is the big takeaway here?
I think we're entering an era where trust is becoming our biggest vulnerability. We trust the AI model to be safe. We trust the NPM package to be clean because it has a cute icon. We trust the vacuum not to map our house for strain lists. But that trust is being exploited at every single level.
It is not just about patching software anymore. It is about verifying who and what you are inviting into your digital and physical life.
Precisely. The set it and forget it mentality is dangerous. You have to be active. You have to audit your dependencies, segregate your smart devices on a different network, and question why an app needs your location. The default setting is usually insecure.
Yeah. It is a sobering thought. If your weather app prints you and your vacuum maps your house, privacy is not about hiding anymore. It is about hoping the companies holding the map do not leave the door open.
Or that they did not give the key to an AI that just wants to be helpful to a hacker.
Too right. Well, that is all we have time for on this edition of the Vocal Technologist.
Yeah.
Check your vacuum, update your passwords, but maybe do not blindly trust the bot telling you to do it. And stay vigilant. Catch you next time.
Stay safe out there.
Spoken Tech for your ears.